All right, tonight I will be building a statistical edge from scratch right here on stream, okay? So I'm going to be using the S&P 500 data. This data is actually from the ETF, which is it's a little bit different. Market to market, it trades slightly differently, and it does kind of a little bit of mm, what's the word? It's a little bit loose in the price action that it does. However, the daily ranges ideas, they're actually very, very close. And for the S&P 500 index and the S&P 500 ETF and the S&P 500 futures, it's all pretty much the same. You're going to end up with more or less the same statistical um, volatility as far as, well, what we're really going to be calculating right here, okay? So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's see what we're doing on the spreadsheet, all right? So on the screen, you can see that I have the open, high, low, and close for each daily candle all the way back to 1993, February, right? So why is this important? What does this matter? What are we going to be doing with this information? I have one single calculation, actually a very simple one, that is going to help us in really our day trading. So we're not going to be doing anything fancy. We're not going to be doing any averages or anything. We're not going to be doing a normal distribution, which normal distributions are very overrated, especially in trading. It really doesn't help you. It's just kind of an extra step. In fact, the purpose of a normal distribution is to shorthand something that is really too complicated to display. And we have 7822 data entries here on the left, and so far my computer seems to be doing just fine. So we don't need a normal distribution to be modeling this information, and in fact we won't want one, as you're going to see later on with what we do with this information that we get out of this. So what's the first thing that we want to do? Actually, we're going to be throwing away this open, high, low, and close completely in very short order. We're going to take cell G2, which is the one that has this column that has the volatility. This is the raw point value. So the raw point value is not an important number. The raw point value that we're going to look at is not an important value to have. We actually want that percentage. This one here. This one's the one that we're going to be working with. This one's the one that's going to be doing all of the heavy lifting for us as far as figuring out our edge and figuring out how we're going to view moves in the marketplace, okay? To give us an edge, all right? Which, to be honest, is quite an unfair edge, if I do say so myself. I've actually been using it for a couple of years now, and it's in my personal trading. For the channel, I've tried to throw it away, just to try to use different things that could be communicated without going through this. But there's really no substitute, right? I've been hemorrhaging equity on that account because I haven't had this, okay, for that account, by the way. So on my personal account, it's very easy to do. I don't want to say it's very easy to just do fish in a barrel trades all day every day, but it really does clear up the daily range, what to expect out of it, what's really going on there, and all that stuff. So anyway, I should probably stop talking about that and start getting into the math. Let's go ahead and do that, okay? And by the way, I am taking my time because this is going to be very quick. You'll see that this is just kind of a very snappy, down and dirty way to get some numbers, okay? So to find this volatility, we are going to subtract the low, that's column D, from the high, which is column C, okay? So we're going to go into column G2, okay? Or actually cell G2, I apologize. And we're going to sum that up, okay? Actually, I'll do that right in here so that's more clear. It's easier for you to see, right? So this is what I'm doing, G2, and then there, right? And we put the equal sign because it's an operation. And it's going to be, is that C2? Yep. Minus D2. There we go. So that's our first one, okay? There are 7821 left, okay? So do you want to do that by hand? Do you want to sit there, just kind of typing that out, just kind of going to work? Yeah, pretty much just kind of typing out what you're going to be doing in each of these columns for all 7822 of these. No, we're not going to be doing that. But what we can do is if, okay, first the little caveat, right? So you can see how G2 is highlighted, right? And if I just drag, I can highlight all these different cells, right? But if I let go, it doesn't do anything, okay? If I go into this corner with this little blue dot, okay, I can grab that and I can drag, and it's actually going to do this operation, but for every single one of these rows, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually grab that little corner and we're gonna drag it all the way to the end of the data set. It's a hefty data set, okay? It's over 7,000. Well, yeah, it's over 7,000 entries, right? So it's a little bit big, but you're gonna see right now that that's not gonna bother you. Okay, so now we have these raw numbers, okay? And you'll actually see, right now you should be able to spot the problem for why we're not going to be able to use this raw number for really anything. And it's just because these numbers, it just kind of, these big numbers just kind of get normalized, right? So you're not really able to use that as a, you're not going to be able to use that to predict future volatility. Okay, so what we need is a percent measure. So I'm just going to drag all the way back up to the top, and we're going to find this percent volatility. Now, the way that I'm going to find this is not completely perfect, and it's not even the correct way, but it's a down and dirty way that gives you a very good number, which for day trading, for our purposes, it's perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. It's close enough for government work, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take G2 and I'm going to divide it by B2, okay? So B2, if you're observant, is the open. Excuse me. There we go. And that gets us our percent volatility. Now, this percentage, that does not come up automatically. That you actually have to toggle that. But I highly suggest that you come up here and you toggle percentage, okay? And so that way it gives you a percentage, it shows you as a percentage. And this is actually very important. This is going to be a very powerful tool to help us a little bit later when we start looking at the distribution of these percentages, because if we take this raw number, there's going to be tons and tons and tons of different numbers like that. But if we take the percentage, we can see that it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. significant figures, okay? And there's going to be a lot of these percentages that match this exact percentage. So it's going to be able to group those together and make us a useful chart, okay? So that's going to be very important. That's going to be a very big thing for us, okay? So we're just going to do the same thing, and we're going to drag this all the way down through the whole data set. Now, there is a way to shorthand selecting cells for most purposes. But for this purpose, the only way that you can do it is to drag it. So you're going to be seeing it scrolling all the way up and down this whole time. A lot. It's going to happen a lot. There we are. So now it's starting to shape up, right? Now these numbers are starting to make sense. Okay. So then we're gonna go back to the top. And now the first very important thing that you need to know yeah, no, we're just gonna save as. So the first very important thing that you need to know for the next steps is that this has to be saved as a CSV, okay? So currently, what we have is we have these columns, right? But I have a question for you. How was this column generated? It was generated with a math equation. You can see up here in this input line that this column right here is not actually this number. It's a math equation, okay? Same with this one, okay? It's a math equation. If we start manipulating the numbers and we just start manipulating these columns and numbers and all these things as they are, it's not going to take the actual number. It's going to take the math equation and move the math equation over. Okay. So if it does that, then it really messes the next few steps up. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually save it as a CSV. What that's going to do for us, if I can grab it. By the way, this is a I'm talking about this spreadsheet. This is not a LibreOffice tutorial. So you can get those elsewhere. There are some very, very good people. But it's going to give you it's going to give you a warning, which is going to say that it contains formatting or content that cannot be saved in the currently selected file format. What that means, what it's telling you, is that it's going to need to convert those equations into the numbers, which is exactly what I need, okay? So then you're going to tell it use the CSV format, okay? So now I have saved it as a CSV. Check this out. Let's save it again. No, this one might be foobar. No, stop. There. What? There. Come on. Oh, stop. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So now what I want to do is I want to sort, or no, I don't want to sort anything. I want to filter out these percentages. So see how there's 0.5 and 0.5 right here? Just right in front of our faces, these ones, right? I do not want that. I want the data set to be continuous, clean. I want it to have all the, yeah, well, I want it to have only one copy of each of these percentages. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this, and I'm actually going to go into, it's in data, right? Yeah. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to go into data. There's more filters. I'm going to go into advanced filter, okay? I'm going to grab every single one of these, 23, 78, 23, right? Every single one of these things, and I'm going to tell it no duplications, okay? The reason that this is very, very important is because I want to count the number of times each percentage comes up, okay? And that's what we're going to do with the very next table. And really the very next table, this percent volatility idea is pretty cool. But the very next table that we're going to do is really I say really a lot, huh? Yeah. So the next table that we're going to do is going to be the bread and butter of the way that we're going to construct the marketplace to build an edge. Okay. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab. Actually, we'll grab this whole column, just out of convenience. We'll copy it. So that's just Control C. Everyone knows how to copy, right? Okay. And then what we're gonna do is we're not actually able to work with this as long as this data is filtered, because what it did was it cut down this list and it's actually hiding pieces of this list where it would need to put data. So we're gonna need to tell that to show rows, okay? So you saw how the data changed, right? Just a little bit. That's what was happening really. So then we're gonna paste. And what happened? Did it not? Jeez, did it not take my CSV? It's not right. Give me 1 second. Technical difficulties. Here, let me put this back up and let me show you what exactly it is that I was doing. So check this out. Look in that this input line right here. So you remember how before it was still showing the formulas, even though I'd converted it to a .csv. Check this out now. Okay, so now it's showing the app. Now it is showing the actual values, right? So if you're having problems, what I want you to do, well, if you're having problems with getting boxes to behave, what I want you to do is stop at this point, basically. And, well, anytime that you need to manipulate numbers and check numbers and do all that kind of stuff, and you're having trouble, stop, make sure it's a CSV file, close it out, and reopen it, okay? Save first, obviously, because you want to save your progress. You want to save what's actually on the page. But then you can close it out and pick it back up, right? So, like, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go into data. We're going to go into those filters that I was talking about. And then we're going to find all 7823 of each of those. We want all 7823 of the rows grouped. We're going to tell it no duplications, which is underneath options. We're going to say okay. And then it's going to do this. It's going to think. Just let it think. Don't worry about it. And then it's going to come back with the list, okay? So now if you look in these rows, you're going to see that they skip a whole bunch of numbers. So that's just a property of the filter. Blah. That is a property of the filtering, okay? So we're going to copy the percent volatility list. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to expand. Come on, there we go. We're going to show our rows, okay? Which is going to expand this list back out. This is very, very important. So then we can take and drop the list, right? So this particular list, check this out. So this one stops at 498. Okay, much shorter list, much easier to manage. And what's more important is that this contains all of the volatility percentages that I want to check, right? So I'm actually going to sort these because that's going to make my life a little bit easier. You don't need to do it. Does that extend selection? What does that mean? Current selection. Jeez. And these are going to be an oddball, by the way. Basically, what we're going to do with these is we're just going to take them and we're going to tack them onto the end. And we're going to do that mentally in our heads. We're not even going to bother sorting them. But I thought I said descending. Didn't I? Okay. Shut up. There we go. Yeah, that looks good, right? Perfect. Perfect. So there's nothing at all wrong with that data. So theoretically, the spreadsheet software is smart enough to know that it wants to, well, it wants those ascending. But at the same time, it's LibreOffice, man. Even with something like Microsoft Excel, which is not supposed to have all the bugs and all the quirks and all the issues that the Libre suite tends to have, and really most open source softwares tend to have, they tend to be more functional. Actually, it's incredible. That's why I switched over. I came from Excel, but they tend to be more buggy. So you want to have everything sorted. You want to have everything dress by dress, ready for the software to take it all nice and wrapped up in a package and process it, right? So anyway, where was I? Okay. We're going to use the COUNTIF function. So that's equals COUNTIF. And we're going to use this data set oh, not M4, this one, please. And then it's going to ask us see, I forgot. And it's going to be N2, right? I don't know. Did I do it wrong? Let me see. It needs a bracket. Okay. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna wrap it up nice and neat in a package. All right. That is probably too much data. That's probably what it's really doing. We're gonna open our bracket, and it's gonna be I'm just gonna grab a bunch, by the way. I can't see. Is that? Yeah, that's fine. Come on, 23. There we go. And it's gonna be N2, right? There we go. Close that bracket. So basically what I've done is I've done a shorthand to show which what's the word? I've done a shorthand to show the exact range that I'm looking for the spreadsheet software to look at, okay? And then I've said N2, which is the number that's right next to it in column N2, or actually no, in cell N2 is going to be the number that it's going to check for, okay? All right, so we have 1, okay? This is another instance where I don't want to do this 400 times. You don't want to do this 400 times. Luckily, we do not have to do this 400 times. We can just grab this and drag it. And it's going to do that operation for each one of these percentages. Just like that. Isn't that crazy? That's crazy, right? And so now you're starting to see like 40, 30, 40, 50, 60. I think there's a 70 in here somewhere. And that's the reason why I wanted us to actually do this. Because if we just looked at the percentages, we would look and see, wow, it's kind of bottom heavy. It does 2% moves, it does 3% moves, it does 4% moves. But look, it doesn't do those very often, right? There's practically no data there. But then when we get up here, we start to see data, okay? It's like 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, right? So then the very next thing that I want to do is I want to put it in a table, okay? We're almost done. We're going to take a table. It's going to be a column table. And we're going to take our data range, okay? Cancel. Give me 1 second. Both of these, actually. There we go. That's looking better. Okay. We still need to change it up a little bit though, because you see that this data range is doing kind of what it wants to do. What we want to do, what is that? Border color. Yeah, what we want to do is we want to go into the categories. The categories is actually the x-axis. Okay. So the x-axis is going to be all of these. Excuse me. Can I please have that? No? Okay. And the reason that I want the percentages to be the x-axis is because we're measuring the distribution. Okay. We don't care so much about what these percentages are because they're going to be plug and play. But we do want to see this distribution. And then there's ranges for the y values. which is M2 through M498, which is very good as well. So I like that. I like that. There's going to be the chart elements, which the x-axis, we'll go ahead and say that percent volatility. And the y-axis is going to be the distribution. There we go. And we're going to go ahead and destroy. Where are you? The legend. We're going to get rid of the legend because it doesn't say anything. Okay. And then now, when we get back to our chart, we should see a nice, beautiful chart. There's more potent ways to analyze this data, but this right here, this is enough. This is plenty. You can look down here at the bottom left, and what's the word? You can see that between about 50%, 50%, no, 0.5% and 1%. Did I say that right? Yeah. So between 0.5% and 1% is a normal daily range, okay? And then way out here is the outliers, right? So if you get a daily range that's kind of not inside of here, then it's going to be an outlier, and it's going to be a little bit different of an order of business. Well, maybe not. If you get a little bit outside of this, then that's probably a different order of business that you're looking at. So like change from consolidation to trending, or trending to consolidation, something like that. But if you get way out here, then you're probably seeing a confused market state, or you're seeing some massive quarterly type of behavior that's going on in the marketplace. And if you know that those are coming up, then you're going to be able to anticipate these kinds of moves. Okay? That's part of the reason that I wanted to use this particular data set over a normal distribution. Because the normal distribution, which is what most people look at, what most people pull up and do and have, that kind of a thing is usually not helpful for finding the extremes and really understanding what the extremes are doing. Okay. And in fact, what that's going to do is that's actually going to shift this chart a little bit to the right. And that's going to overstate the volatility that we would expect. So there you go. 6, 0.5, 1.0. Those kinds of percentages are very good. And now the reason that I chose the percentages and I chose not to analyze the raw data is because the raw data is going to be it's going to show you an average over time. However, what's also happening over time is volatility is increasing, like because the price of the asset is going up. In order to compensate, they have to buy up more of the asset. So the price has to increase at a greater rate. So that number really doesn't tell us a whole lot. So here's my candlestick chart, right? This is the S&P. Percentage change is going to show up right here. Okay, here's percentage change. All right, take a look at it. Okay. So what do you notice about each of these candles? They're kind of falling into the distribution, right? And when they don't fall into the distribution, what's happening with them? Something special, right? And also notice that this is actually only measuring from open to close. These wicks typically when like see this one was like 0.28, which you would think is outside of the distribution. The problem is, well, it's not much of a problem, but check that out. Wick to wick is 1.46, which is not technically 1.46. It's not, well, it's not a perfect measure of the percentage that we're really measuring right here right now. But yeah, it is very close. So yeah, see even this one 0.01, I guarantee you that's like 0.3 to 0.5. 0.9. Wow. This is 0.41. This was 0.23, right? Let's see what the real range is. 0.5. Let's see the real range on this one. 1.3. How about this one? 0.9. This one? 0.9. So you see, are you starting to understand what I'm really getting at with this number right here? If I could switch over to it. If you like this kind of content, comment below, give it a like, that kind of stuff, because I really appreciate it. Like and subscribe. I also have a PayPal in my channel link, which you can go to and donate if you really like this kind of content. Show your appreciation if you appreciate it, and well, that's all I really got for you. This chart is honestly my favorite thing. It's the cornerstone of everything I do with my live money, and can't live without it. I tried, I can't. It's just this or the highway. Anyway, thank you for your time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment if you have any questions, and have a good night. Have a great rest of your weekend.